Guy Nick Underhill, neworleans.football, to break down the latest New Orleans Saints loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Nicholas, how we doing this week, sir?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
A couple things going on here and there in Baton Rouge. News cycle, a little full, if you will. So, we haven't had a chance, Nick, to really dive into the Saints-Bucks game. So certainly glad to have you on to do just that for our listeners. And it just, from kind of Jump Street, just didn't go your way. There's a couple nice moments, goal line stands and such, but you finally, gave in to what the masses wanted, and you made a switch at quarterback in the middle of the game. And so this game, just how you viewed it and how it all played out, what were your biggest takeaways?
I guess we'll start with the quarterback. I mean, I'm not surprised that they made a change. Like, at some point, they were going to probably make a change. Like, you can't be 1 of 25 on 3rd and long and, at some point, like, they were going to shake it up and see what the guy they took with 40th could do. What shocked me is how they did it. Like, I was not expecting that to be, like, a mid-game creative spark type thing. Like, I think the biggest thing this coaching staff has had going for it is that there's kind of this thought that, they're well thought out, well planned people. And I thought that was the whole thing with the quarterback, is that they had this plan of development. And I thought there'd be like a detailed rollout, and we'd hear, hey, look, they let Shough take 10 first team reps in practice on Wednesday this week, and then next week it's 20. And then, like, you see him in the game or whatever. Like, I thought it would be a buildup. I didn't think it'd be a middle of the third quarter, game's not going well, toss them in there, see what happens kind of thing. Because, like, almost everything they've been signaling to us is about building and being patient and, quote unquote, doing things the right way. Otherwise, how do you explain, like, rolling with the kicker who you're afraid to kick a 59-yarder with inside of a dome? And so, like, on one hand, you don't need a spark at kicker, but now you need to spark at quarterback in the middle of a game. Those, like, just kind of the ideals right now. Like, I'm having trouble making sense of what's going on. If it works, it works. You put him in there. If he plays again this week, and he plays well, fine, whatever. Like, who cares how it got started? But, like, I'm just really shocked that that's how it went. I didn't think that this is what we were watching. I wasn't even under the impression that they were, like, acting like a team that felt pressure to win games, because, like, again, like the kicker thing. And I'm not trying to kill, like, the Blake groupie here, but if you have patience with the kicker and you're willing to sacrifice 3 points, 6 points in a game as you wait for him to come out of the funk, like, it's just hard for me to understand why in the middle of a Bucks game it's like this is the line of demarcation and enough is enough and can't do this anymore, and you got to see what the other guy can do. Just really surprised how it happened. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, we're going to find out what they're going to do this week. Kind of surprised that it wasn't a Monday. Yeah, we're rolling with Shough thing. Like, now they're talking about it. Like, going back to Rattler seems kind of messy and weird. Like, you kind of got to know who you're dealing with. So, like, when you take him out, I think it kind of has to be a deliberate thing. Like, we all know how he got here. Like, I don't know if you need to tiptoe around that as a coach, but I think you should at least be aware of, like, hey, look, this is, like, the story of his career, and this could mess him up if you want to go back to him after doing it. And you're already feeling like he's playing a little bit too tight. So, like, I would assume it's all in with Shough at this point. But, yeah, I mean, I was just totally shocked at how that played out.
Yeah, it kind of like you explaining that, like, that confusion of how it happened really tells me that it was like a true starter and backup mindset with Rattler and Shough, because you don't, and it wasn't like a 1A, 1B starter. Like, we're going to start this guy for a little bit, then we're going to, because a 1A, 1B starter situation, like you're talking about, like, eventually it was going to be Shough, would be a little bit more planned out in detail, set him up for success, make sure he's got a week of preparation under his belt with taking all the first team reps. That would be like the 1A, 1B mindset. The backup situation is the game's not going well. Like, we need a spark, so let's put the backup in to try to do this. So I'll be really interested to see what that decision is. So I guess you kind of answered it there, but, like, if you are Kellen Moore, like, what would be your decision going forward as far as a starting quarterback?
Well, if I was Kellen Moore, like, I wouldn't have done it like that. I kind of, like, my thought process was, hey, he's got to look good in one of these next two games against the Bucs and the Rams. And if it doesn't turn around, then you probably go to Shough in Carolina, maybe get the first game on the road, or you come to them the first game out of the bye. But like I thought these next two were kind of the thing that you wanted to see. And again, like 6 turnovers in 6 quarters. Like I get it, and there's kind of a line there, but like I don't think it's like putting Andy Dalton into the game. Like this is the rookie, and like the whole thing is development, and like the narrative, like every single time it comes up about like Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones or whatever, like Kellen Moore's at the podium talking about how, you know, other people don't do things the right way, and like, you know, it's evidence of how you got to handle these things, and then it's just like, whoops, like this is just a normal situation. You know, if I were him, what I would do, I don't know. I mean, look, I think you have to get a look at Shough at some point. You know, and I think now that you open the door, I'm just going that direction because I think I've created a situation where it's weird now if I go back, and then if I flip-flop again, it's just kind of, I don't know, does that start to mess up the locker room? Like, you're already probably going to have different pockets of people in different areas thinking, hey, this is like kind of weird. This is messed up. You know, I thought Spencer was playing well. He probably didn't deserve to catch the blame for this. But then, like, if you keep going back and forth, I think all of a sudden, like, you create maybe a very, very messy situation. So I feel like you made your decision. You were going to take a look at him at some point. I think you kind of got to lean into it now and just go with it. Because I would say one of the things that I think they've done best this year is that they drafted a quarterback at 40, and they kind of really haven't allowed it to become a story. You know, I felt like until after it was kind of weird after the New England game. That was the first time that we kind of heard some like messaging of frustration with how maybe plays weren't being made. And I thought that was the best game that Rattler has played as an NFL player. But that was the first time he kind of came out and made a comment where it was like, yeah, you know, like we're kind of limited a little bit in some of the stuff we can do. And then, you know, it was the next week, the 3rd and 20, you know, the third down play, Alvin throws it to Taysom, they get the flag. He goes up there and he says, yeah, we haven't just been able to do anything on 3rd down, so I felt like I had to try to create something to make it happen. Like, that was another one where you're like, ooh, that's kind of crazy. And then, you know, getting asked about, hey, like, does Spencer need to look over his shoulder? And he's like, it's a week-to-week thing. Up until that point, it was, no, this is our starter. We're all in with him. So it feels like there's maybe been, like, you know, a slow build-up to this. And I think now that you did it, you just kind of got to stick with it. But I'm just blown away by how it happened because, like, why is the pressure suddenly in the second half of a Bucs game in a 1-6 season? I don't know. It just kind of all of a sudden, like just everything I thought about the season and that decision, it was just kind of like, wait a minute, like this is not what it has been the whole time, and now all of a sudden, like this is the stuff that matters. It's just kind of weird to me. Like you're taking you know, and again, I think the Pete Werner extension was probably a mistake. I think it probably doesn't fit with the team. Like, there's a lot of stuff, but like he is your second best linebacker. But at linebacker, you're fine with like downgrading that position to get reps for other guys. At cornerback, Ike Yadam probably is your next best cornerback. You're willing to take him off the field to develop Quincy Riley. So like all of these things are telling me it's about development and patience, and then all of a sudden, like it's just like poof, like up in the air, and this is different over here. I don't know. But yeah, to answer the question about him, I would probably feel like I have to stick with the decision I made because I could make it messy by kind of flip-flopping. And if there's any thought of going back to Shough later to look at him before the draft, you know, I think it's just kind of, you just turn it into a loud every week, you know, who's the quarterback type thing. And I think that's a terrible thing for the team.